Good morning, everyone. We are live from Noah's Reef. Yes, I'm a reef ball. No, I'm really Dave Sikorsky from CCA. Good to see everybody. As we've talked to you in the past about, and you should know by now, these reef balls out here on the water are built by students throughout the state with our Living Reef Action campaign. And my fantastic reef ball costume was also made by students under the great guidance of Kathy Harris up at the Carroll County Career and Tech Center. Some fashion and textile design students got involved by adding a great education story, a costume full of a reef ball, full of the critters that we know these reef balls help when they're deployed into the Chesapeake Bay. So this just gives you an idea of what it's all about and how we're connecting the undersea world and our fisheries habitat to students and people throughout the Chesapeake Bay watershed so they can understand that habitat today equals fish tomorrow. So the crew from Maguire Marine is working behind me. What they're doing is lowering a reef ball one at a time and making a complete grid here that will cover the bottom, just like they have the last 2 times this reef has been deployed. And Marcus just dropped his sunglasses. All good. Thank you to Marucci Sunglasses for being such a great sponsor. We'll make sure we get Marcus another pair there. But what they're doing is dropping the reef balls down in a grid. Again, there's about 275 on the bottom here. And just off in the distance behind the barge is where they are. We also have an N on the bottom for Noah. And we'll be working to write an O. And then in subsequent years, an A and an H. This work is supported by many of our partners throughout the region. And again, I hope we have some folks out there in Carroll County Public Schools, maybe Mount Washington Upper School, Broadneck High, Severn School. You are the students that help build these reef balls that are on the deck today. These are what's called a low profile size reef ball. So they weigh about 200 pounds or so. We build them a little thicker and heavier than they need to be, so they're more robust and we can travel with them because our program is, again, around the region. So we go out to the school and work with students, build anywhere from about 15 to 20 reef balls a day with a class or a couple classes of students, 4th and 5th grade. Shout out to our friends down at the Chest Packs program and all the 5th graders in Calvert County. We are just about to complete our 3rd year of working with every single 5th grader in Calvert County. Those reef balls aren't on the deck here, but will be soon. Some are going down to the St. Mary's River in the near future. So here we go. This is what it looks like. Big pile of reef balls. So I mentioned the Mount Washington Upper School. They built some of these smaller reef balls. These are called oyster size. And then again, all the majority of the mix here are the low profile size. We also build what's called a mini bay. Mini bays are a little bit bigger. We have some out at the Tillman Island Reef, the Chesapeake Beach Reef, and many others throughout the bay. We do have just about 2,000 reef balls on land right now, ready to get in the water. So you're going to see a lot more deployments in the near future. How you doing, James? Thanks for shouting out and thanks for the support. James is a Southern Maryland chapter member. We have volunteers from the Magothy River Association. There's the president, Paul Spadaro. We couldn't do this work without Magothy River Association's support. And of course, Maguire Marine Construction with Mike Maguire, local guy who's created a business to service anyone on our waterways in this region. So if you're looking for some work to be done, Mike's the kind of guy you want to reach out to. Not only does his team do a great job, but they also support local nonprofit work with Magothy River Association and CCA and much more. We have some more volunteers from Smith's Marina. They're out here using Hummingbird technology to side scan the existing reef And you may be able to see in the distance there a small crab float. That will be replaced with a larger buoy, which will be here around the clock throughout the year to mark the reef. We will also share coordinates and further details. If you know the Magothy, you'll know that that is Dobbins Island right there in the distance. So it's pretty easy to find. We're in about 15 feet of water. Of course, it varies with the tide. Again, so Mike's team is going to rig one at a time so they can place out into a perfect grid. You can see they're measuring. So they use the boat that Marcus is in, and they create a 90-degree angle, and then they mark off so they can spread the reef balls off in a nice grid within the permitted site. I think the permitted site here is about 800 feet east to west and about 200 or 300 feet north to south. So that's what we're building. So they simply slide a dock line through a reef ball, make a loop, There are faster ways to deploy these. We have a rig that will put them down 3, 4, and 5 at a time. But Mike's really wants to be particular with the grid placement to maximize the three-dimensional hard substrate that we create here. So these reef balls are just raw concrete. As they go in, there are no oysters on them. They have been aging for months since they were built. That allows them to reach their peak strength and for the pH to settle. So now when they get dropped to the bottom, this time of year as everything's waking up and starting to spawn, we'll have larval animals floating around the water column. As the water warms up, there will be some oysters that spawn as well, and lots of other animals, anemones, barnacles, mussels, lots of things that also filter water just like an oyster will live all throughout these reef balls. And I can guarantee it'll be a great place to find some crabs, perch, rockfish, definitely blue catfish in the Magothy. So lots of different fishing opportunities throughout the river. Say hi, Grace. Grace is a student from Broadneck out volunteering with us today. Shout out to the whole crew at Broadneck. They'll be building reef balls with us in May 20th week. And shout out to their teacher, Stacy Roth, who's leading that great work there. And our fantastic teachers up in Carroll County. We couldn't do this work without Brian Shoemaker, the STEM coordinator, leading the group up there in Carroll County, working with all the teachers and delivering this program to the students each year, now since 2015. We also have Mike Campanelli. Mike is a masonry instructor at Carroll County Career and Tech, and his students have been building a larger reef ball, a mini bay size reef ball that you'll see going in the water later in the year. Mike and Brian worked to secure donations from Thomas Bennett Hunter, has provided the aggregate which goes into these. You can see on the outside of that one, there's some pea gravel. That's the stone aggregate we use. It makes it easier for mixing in the trays. And then we get Lehigh Portland cement and add sand and water. And that's what makes up a reef ball. That and some hard work. So thank you to those donors. Of course, we have many, many individual donors and members that support this event, support this work that we do throughout the region. And again, you can specifically donate to this project, to Noah's Reef, so we can continue to do this year after year by going to Habitat Today, Fish Tomorrow, right on our homepage at ccamd.org. And you can see the banner at the bottom of the screen. Hey, Kathy. I see Kathy commenting from the Reef Ball Foundation. We couldn't do this work without their tremendous partnership. They've led this work since the early 90s throughout the globe. You can check out Reef Ball on their website, their Facebook, and if you're in the donating mood, that's another fantastic group to donate to, because they are really the base of operations for all this work to happen again around the globe. In I believe nearly 60 countries. Their team right now is up in New York at Governor's Island with the Billion Oyster Project, placing reef balls in the Manhattan area. So it's pretty neat to see them continuing to do oyster restoration work throughout the globe, but Reef Ball has also been on the forefront of coral restoration and educating so many people on how this simple technology can be repeated time and time again to create hard reef substrate that we're losing. We're losing it here in the Chesapeake as our oyster populations continue to have challenges in certain areas. Remember, an oyster builds its own house. Well, that reef ball right there is decades upon decades of shell growth on top of each other. So we're jump starting that, lifting it up in the water column, giving them more places to live, better water flow. Also, as tides run across these reefs, they help create turbulence in the water, oxygenating the lower sections of the rivers that can always have trouble in the summertime because of all the nutrient loading that the Chesapeake Bay faces. We have a brand new partner that came on to get these reef balls in place this week. Costantino Construction. Chris Davis, thank you so much for donating your team and your time and your expertise and equipment to get these here safely. Again, we couldn't do this work without so many partners. That's what CCA is all about. We are a membership organization, and anyone can join and anyone can take part in this work. Here in the Annapolis area, we have our Annapolis chapter. Shout out to Mike Dardick, the brand new chapter president, who's taking the reins of that chapter and needs your support and your help. If you're in this region, please reach out to us. We can get you involved. So much of our work is because of a spark that creates with volunteers, but it starts with volunteers, and we're always ready to throw gas on that spark. So that's exactly how this project started. Some volunteers came to a reef ball build and said, we have an idea. We have the right partnership. We want to honor a great young man. And so that's what we're doing with Noah's Reef. And it's so much bigger. It's about community and everyone working together. All right, there's Brian Shoemaker, our STEM coordinator up in Carroll County. So there's reefs throughout the Chesapeake Bay. Traditionally, we have a survey done in the early 1900s by a gentleman named Mr. Yates and his crew. And so what they did was they traveled throughout the Chesapeake Bay over a series of years, attempting to classify what is hard bottom, what is shell, what are oyster reefs. And so the Yates bars are our historical understanding of what's out there and where the reefs are from a natural perspective. And over time, we have new understandings of what's on the bay bottom from various other scans. That work is actually being done right now to better understand the current status of where reefs are. But as far as artificial reefs, we have this permitted site here in the Magothy, which I mentioned is led by the Magothy River Association. They have a permit, which is issued by multiple government agencies. It's a tidal wetlands permit that the Maryland Department of the Environment leads. And then out in the main stem of the bay and various other areas, we have the Maryland Artificial Reef Initiative, MARI, Maryland Artificial Reef Initiative. And CCA is honored to be a fiscal agent for that work, meaning that we help manage the dollars. We don't take any, but we match so much of it with this kind of work. And so a lot of the other reef sites like the Tillman Island Reef, they include some Carroll County reef balls. The reef just off Harrington Harbor to the east, I think it's the Chesapeake Beach Reef, has some reef balls. We have a great number of them down in the St. Mary's River in the sanctuary. And later this summer, we'll be working with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation to deploy at least 300 reef balls this size and the next size up in the St. Mary's River watershed. And then repeating that work again next year, half of which will have oyster spat attached to them. And so we call it the Living Reef Action Campaign because we started this program by putting reef balls in the water with living oysters on them to maximize the growth. You get a first generation of animals there, a great shell veneer, and it brings that life to the reef right away. As I was saying earlier, placing these without those living animals on them, nature still has a way, and they will attach. It won't be long until these reef balls are covered in life. Fish and other animals will start to live around them nearly instantly. There's studies done around the world about how long it takes for these various reefs to colonize. And you're going to see some more underwater footage from us in the near future on spots like this and other places. But ultimately, we do this reef work throughout the bay. And earlier this year, working with our partners at CCA Virginia, we did our first Virginia reef at Gwynn's Island. So we've got a lot of plans for both Maryland and Virginia. The Virginia Marine Resources Commission has a great team that oversees their reef work, and we're excited at CCA Virginia and Maryland along with the Building Conservation Trust, our national partners, to invest in this work to make fishing better, make the environment healthier, add more filtration capacity to the Chesapeake, one little piece at a time. What do you say, Paul? Say hi to anybody. We're live on the internet.
Welcome to the Magothy River. I'm Paul Spadaro, president of the Magothy River Association, and this is a wonderful day that we're putting more reef balls out on Noah's Reef. It's been around since this particular slot has been around since 2003, and the fishing has been good since we started this.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it is.
Healthy river, clean river, better fishing.
Better fishing.
Thank you for your partnership, Paul. We have Alan, the work dog. Say hi to the world, Alan. Jay Fleming out here getting some great imagery and drone footage. If you have any questions, again, go in the comments, and remember, we'll be going live at 10:45 again. So feel free to share that link and share this link, because this video will stay up both on our YouTube and our Facebook. All right. Thank you all for joining in. Again, we will be back at 10:45. And if you have any questions or anything else, please reach out to us. Again, go to our website at ccamd.org. Join as a member. Get involved in your local chapter. And if you can, we'd love a donation to support this work into the future. Also, if you want to find out how you can do a reef ball build, please reach out to us. Information at ccamd.org. It's the best way to get a hold of our team. We work with community groups, schools, corporate partners. We can do team building exercises. If you check out our calendar at ccamd.org, you'll also find some opportunities where you can RSVP and volunteer. For the Annapolis area, June 21st and 22nd will be a Friday and Saturday at the Michael Bush Library. Some of these reef balls were built there last year. So thank you to those great partners. So that's one of your next chances in the Annapolis area. And again, we'll be live again soon. Thank you all so much for following along.